So I was sitting outside the other day, touching grass, as the kids say, when I had this strange realization: where did all the butterflies go? Sure, every once in a while, you'll see a little butterfly, flying by, buzzing around, doing its own thing, but you see, I couldn't help but think back to memories I had of my childhood in the 90s. When I was growing up, it felt like everywhere you looked, there was butterflies, especially in the summer and the spring. I have some really strong memories of playing on the playground at my elementary school and remembering large clouds of monarch butterflies, so vast that I thought it could block out the sun. Okay, well, maybe not that many, but there was definitely a fuck ton of them. But you see, as I sat there thinking the wind absolutely destroying my hair, I started second-guessing myself. Was this just a fake memory that I had concocted, as a child? Or did there really used to be that many monarch butterflies when I was a kid? I remember in first grade, our class had a pet caterpillar that, we would keep in a jar, and over the course of the year, we watched as this little caterpillar guy morphed into a cocoon, eventually transforming, almost evolving like real-like Pokemon, into a beautiful monarch butterfly. As a 6-year-old child who was addicted to Pokemon Red, this was basically Pokemon in the flesh. This was basically real-life magic. I don't know if you guys did the whole caterpillar in a jar thing in your elementary school. Maybe this was just a common thing that was done in the Midwest. I'm not sure. I just assume that the rest of the country probably did this as well, but I guess it really depends on, where you live, doesn't it? You see, it was at this moment in my nostalgia-filled haze that I had an uncomfortable realization. I don't remember the last time that I saw a monarch butterfly. You want to have your mind blown real quick? Well, take a look at this graph. Here is a graph that measures the population of monarch butterflies over time using hectares of land occupied. For context, 1 hectare of land is equal to around 107,000 square feet, so it's pretty freaking big. We can see here in the great year of 1994, the monarch butterfly occupied around 7.8 hectares of land. We see this slowly increase the following year in 1995 to 12 hectares of land. And then again, we see a massive explosion of the monarch population in 1996 to 18 hectares of land. Over the following 2 years, the population numbers would drop, returning to their average of around 5 to 6 hectares. And then in 1999, there was another sharp growth period of 9 hectares. However, from the year 2000 onward, YTK in full swing, things start to get a bit concerning. It's here in 2000 that we see really the first warning signs of what would come in the next 24 years, as the monarch population would crash from 9 hectares all the way down to 2. The population would rebound over the following years, averaging off between 4 to 6 hectares, until again it would once again crash in 2009, falling to a shocking 1.9 hectares. Again, for context, 1.9 hectares is around 4 to 5 acres. And I have family that own more than 4 to 5 acres. The population would rebound over the following years, but overall, the downward trend of the monarch population was in full swing at this point by the mid-2000s, the population dwindling close to extinction in 2012 to 2015, where we see the lowest point on our graph at an absolutely terrifying 0.67 hectares. Again, for context, that is roughly 1.6 acres. To get a better idea of this sheer drop-off in population numbers, here is another graph which shows the population of Western monarchs between 1997 and 2019. We see here in 1997, the population is sitting around 1.2 million Western monarchs. This lines up well with the other graph we referenced, where we saw that the massive explosion of the butterfly population from 96 to 97. Again, though, in this graph, we see a steep population decline as we enter into the 2000s, with a slight recovery in 2015, but then the numbers drop off a fucking cliff to a reported 29,000 Western monarchs in 2019, a number that has continued to fluctuate up and down until 2023, when the United States government declared the monarch butterfly as an endangered species. Okay, so I was right. I'm actually not going crazy. There really did used to be like way more monarch butterflies when I was a kid in the 90s and early 2000s than there are right now in 2024. So what happened to all of them? Like I said, in 2023, the monarch butterfly was added to the endangered species list protected by the American Endangered Species Act, and we have seen a small population rebound over the course of the years, but even so, the prospect of the monarch butterfly going extinct, getting to a point where the population is basically impossible to recover, is a very real possibility, which to me is like this crazy thing to try to attempt to wrap my mind around, especially if you're someone like me who grew up in the Midwest, smack dab in the middle of the Great Monarch Migration. If you didn't know, monarch butterflies are a tropical species, so you see them and the cold, well, they don't really mix very well. That's why during the autumn and winter, North American monarchs undergo a southward migration into Mexico and then head back to their breeding grounds in America in the spring, in one of the most spectacular displays of migration of any creature on this earth. If you've lived in the Midwest, you're very much aware of this monarch migration, even if you've never heard it referred to it as the monarch migration, because one day you could just wake up in the springtime and there would just be a cloud of hot single butterflies in your area. What's up, guys? I just have to interrupt the video real quick to do the YouTuber thing. You know how it goes. If you do enjoy this video, then please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as your engagement on this video and with the channel is really the easiest way to support me. Subscribing to the channel is the easiest way to help support me and make these videos possible, so please hit that big red button down below. Okay, let's get right back to the video. When I was a kid, I remember walking around during springtime at my elementary school, and the ground was just like littered with dead monarchs everywhere. There was so many. It was like they were planning like a massive invasion or something. The playground of my elementary school became like a monarch graveyard. And let me tell you, as a kid, watching these massive swarms of monarch butterflies, you know, either being born or migrating back from Mexico and just swarming all over our playground was like one of the most like magical things I've ever experienced in my life. So you can see why the prospect of the monarch butterfly actually going extinct, well, it almost like doesn't even register in my head, as literally monarch butterflies were everywhere when I was a kid. I mean, the idea that monarch butterflies are actually on the endangered species list, yeah, I'm pretty sure that would make the whole monarch butterfly in a jar thing we did in elementary school illegal. That's right, like we said earlier, as of 2023, the monarch butterfly was added to the endangered species list, meaning that yes, to keep and raise a monarch butterfly in a jar from its caterpillar state to its butterfly state, I'm pretty sure is illegal under the Endangered Species Act. Actually, even intentionally killing one of these butterflies might potentially even be a legal act, though I'm not sure how the Endangered Species Act is, like, you know, is prosecuted when it comes to, like, insects. To me, this is such a crazy thing to try to wrap my brain around from, like, the many years of my childhood experiencing all of these monarch butterflies. Like, what happened? So after some internet sleuthing, I managed to stumble upon this really awesome resource, an article that goes into details on the population decline of the monarch butterfly, but more importantly, what we can do as a population of humans to save them. Because, spoiler alert, their population decline is basically our fault. Nope. So like with all threatened and endangered species, the biggest threat to their survival is, surprise, surprise, you guessed it, humans. Like many other threatened or endangered species, a big reason for the monarch butterfly's sharp population decline comes from humans disrupting and outright destroying their habitats and breeding grounds, not to mention a lot of their food supply. Much of the lush green fields and forested areas that monarchs call home have been replaced with, well, human homes and neighborhood sprawls and urban sprawl, like another Walmart or Costco or some other place where we can go and spend our hard-earned money on more useless shit that we don't need. You see, the monarchs need the forests, but then again, so do we humans and our logging industry. And if you didn't notice, we're a lot bigger than them. Where's Mothra when you need her? Because monarchs are migratory little dudes, they need ample forests in the United States and in Mexico in order to maintain a stable population. Some of these little dudes will travel over 3,000 miles from their home in the United States to their migration homes in Mexico, and the logging industry, combined with deforestation in general and spread of urban sprawl, has destroyed large, vast areas that these monarchs once called their homes. According to this World Wildlife Foundation article, new data estimated that monarch butterflies wintering in Mexico occupied only 2.2 acres. This 2.2 acres was a 59% drop from the previous year, the second lowest recorded monarch population in Mexico since 2013, which put up a whopping 1.7 acres. That's a big yikes for me, dude. See this little plant? Kind of looks like a weed, doesn't it? Well, that's because it's milkweed. Milkweed, though, despite, the name implying, is actually not a weed. It's just an ordinary little flowering plant that has been given a very unfortunate name. This little plant, you see, is probably one of the most important factors to the survival of our little butterfly friends. Yet, for some reason, we can't seem to stop killing it. Milkweed is referred to by scientists as the monarch's host plant, because every night, the milkweed hosts the monarch to a delectable dinner. Yes, Mr. Monarch, tonight we have the chef's special. On the menu, a milkweed cutlet cooked to perfection in a bath of milkweed sauce, topped with a very rare and expensive milkweed oil. No, by host plant, what I really mean is that both the plant and the butterfly depend on each other in a kind of symbiotic-like relationship, kind of like Spider-Man with his black suit. Okay, well, maybe not like that. You see, monarch butterflies lay their eggs on one specific type of plant, milkweed. Why, you might ask? Well, that's because the monarchs, when they're in their little caterpie forms, basically only eat one thing, milkweed. But you see, they don't just eat milkweed because it tastes really good, or maybe they're on some kind of fad diet, or maybe they just have an allergy to gluten. You see, when the monarchs are in their tiny little caterpie state, they are the most vulnerable in their little lives. Predators love to find themselves a little caterpillar snack, so the caterpillars eat the milkweed, which contains a chemical known as cardinalides. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Cardinalides is toxic to many other life forms. By eating the milkweed, the caterpillars put this chemical into their body, which then deters predators from eating them, because they're going to get really, really sick. So not only is milkweed basically the caterpillar's primary food source in probably the most vulnerable state of its life, but it's also its primary defense against predators. So what do you think would happen if we, I don't know, started killing all the milkweed with pesticides? In many ways, the monarch population is kind of tied hand in hand with the production of milkweed and the population of milkweed across the United States, something that over the last 20 years has really come under threat. Don't get me wrong, though, it's not all of the pesticide and farming community's faults. We also have ozone pollution and elevated levels of carbon dioxide to blame, and don't forget about our good friend deforestation. So to kind of pull back the lens here and get more context, the question of what happened to the butterflies, while being multifaceted, seems rather simple to understand. A large percentage of the population decline is due to threats to their habitats, whether that's through deforestation, urban expansion, climate change, decrease in availability of water, and a significant reduction in the monarch's host plant, milkweed. You know, the only place that they lay their eggs, and really the only food that the monarchs will eat in their caterpillar state. Luckily though, there are things being done right now to save this iconic species. I just hope it's not too little too late. The document that I've been referencing for most of this video is the North American Monarch Conservation Plan. I'll leave the link to the article in the description down below. I highly recommend it. It's super interesting if you're curious. In this plan, they lay out all the threats to the monarch population and then list them by priority, as well as they list actions that can be taken to help remedy these problems. With really the most pressing solution being creating stable places, stable habitats with a stable source of milkweed so the monarchs can breed breed and live in both the United States and Mexico in their migration grounds. Already we've seen an establishment of a ton of like monarch and butterfly sanctuaries across the United States and in Mexico, areas of protected land literally for the monarch species, but this alone, I don't think it's enough. Real significant big change is needed in the way that we gather our timber, the way we farm our vegetables and use pesticides, and the way that we build cities and expand urban sprawl if we really want the monarch butterfly to return to an actual healthy population size. Monarch butterflies hold a really special place in my heart. Maybe it's just because I'm getting into my late 20s now and my brain's becoming all nostalgia brained. But the monarch to me is like a real symbol of my childhood. I'm not like really a patriotic person, you know, but in many ways, the monarch as well is kind of like a symbol of America. Personally, the thought of me having a kid one day in the future and that kid not being able to experience the magic that is the monarch migration, that's a horribly depressing thought. And it's honestly kind of hard to fathom that if like things don't change with the way that they're going right now, the monarch butterfly population could reach an irreversible breaking point where it would actually be impossible for the population to recover, and it might genuinely go extinct. I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't want to live in a world, in an America, where my kids don't get to experience this. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as engagement on this video is the easiest way to help support the channel. I'm going to leave all of the links that I used to write this video in the description down below if you want to learn more about this insane problem. As well, I'm going to leave another link in the description down below to some kind of charity, either that helps set up these monarch sanctuaries or just helps to spread awareness. I haven't found one yet, but when I do, there will be one listed in the description down below if you want to help donate to help save these butterflies, as unfortunately they're not going to save themselves, and we started and created this problem, so we probably should fix it. As always, guys, thank you again for watching the video. This topic, this type of content is a lot different from the normal type of content that I make, but once I started learning about this, it just blew my mind so much that I felt like I had to make a video about it. If you did enjoy the video, then why don't you check out one of the videos on screen now, like maybe how the 80s tried to cancel Dungeons & Dragons in the wake of the Satanic Panic. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, drink your water, hug your mother. Until next time, peace, love, Otto.